The cameras flashed. The crowd froze.
And just like that.
Hollywood had a new obsession. Or, well, in this case, maybe a new villain. Picture the scene. It's a moment of high tension. Or at least it's high emotion.
Right.
You have this woman, she's sitting in her car, phone propped up on the dashboard, and she hits record.
She's looking right at the camera.
She looks directly into the lens, and she's ready to share what feels like this huge triumph, a real turning point. She takes a breath and says it.
If you are in the trenches of having a newborn, this is what 8 weeks postpartum looks like.
In the trenches.
That is a very specific, very loaded phrase.
It is. It implies mud, tears, survival mode.
Barely holding it together. It's war terminology.
Exactly. You hear trenches, and you're expecting a story about sleepless nights, leaking diapers, maybe wearing the same sweatpants for 3 days straight.
But that is not what we got.
Not at all. Then comes the twist. Immediately after dropping that sentence, she describes her day.
And it did not involve mud.
Let me tell you, no. It involved a luxury facial from her favorite specialist, grabbing an oat matcha latte, getting some healthy food, and just driving around listening to music like a teenager because she felt, in her words, brand new.
And that is where the internet, to put it mildly, detonated.
Oh, it went nuclear, the comment section. Well, let's just say they didn't exactly cheer for her self-care journey.
No. It was accusations of being tone deaf, of flaunting this immense financial privilege.
And just having zero connection to reality.
Yeah.
To what the trenches actually look like for like 99% of mothers.
It raises such a fascinating contradiction right off the bat, doesn't it?
It really does.
On one hand, society's always telling women to bounce back, take care of themselves, don't let themselves go.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if they do it too well or, too visibly with too much help, we attack them for it.
Welcome to StarScope Report. Today we are unpacking how a single 60-second TikTok about a facial and a matcha latte didn't just cause a celebrity scandal.
No, it unraveled this massive global conversation.
It's all about the policing of women's bodies. And we aren't just talking about one influencer here. We're going to trace this thread from a reality star's car in London all the way back to the UK Equality Act of 2010.
And even further back to ancient codes of conduct in Cambodia.
It really is a perfect storm. You've got the modern pressures of social media just colliding with ancient history.
Right. The headline here is Lucy Watson, a former star of Made in Chelsea, facing this backlash for her postpartum video. But the real story, the one we need to dig into, is about autonomy. It's about how, historically and right now, women are told they've lost everything. Their power, their identity, their right to just exist in public without judgment, and how they're fighting back.
So let's get into the specifics of this incident before we zoom out to the sociology of it all.
Okay.
Lucy Watson, for anyone who doesn't know, she was a standout on the UK reality show Made in Chelsea.
She was known for being blunt, a bit guarded, very stylish.
Right. She becomes a mom to her son, Willoughby, and naturally, she pivots her career. She co-founds a maternity brand called Renue.
And that context is so crucial. She isn't just a mom posting a diary entry.
Oh, yeah.
She's a brand owner selling a very specific lifestyle.
Right. So in this video, she claims she hasn't cried in a while, except for a brief panic over a lost breast pump charger.
Which, to be fair, is a valid reason to cry.
Totally valid. She says she doesn't have meltdowns anymore. She looks at the camera and says, "I'm telling you, 8 weeks postpartum, is it?"
And that's when the comments just turned into a battlefield.
When you look at the coverage of this backlash, you can see exactly why it touched such a nerve.
It wasn't just jealousy. You have commenters pointing out that for the vast majority of mothers, a facial is just the steam that hits your face when you open the oven to cook chicken nuggets.
That is a brutal image.
Yeah.
Hilarious, but brutal.
It speaks to a serious economic divide,
Yeah.
Most people on statutory maternity pay can barely afford formula or diapers, let alone a specialized facialist and oat lattes. So when you use a term like "in the trenches," which implies this shared suffering, this grit and trauma, to describe a day of expensive self-care.
It feels like a slap in the face.
It does. It feels like you're co-opting the language of struggle to sell a fantasy of ease.
It's the ultimate read-the-room failure. But here's where it gets interesting for me. We looked at her brand, Renue. We read their whole mission statement. They sell things like buttery soft, tensile lyocell underwear and nursing bras. Their whole pitch is rethinking maternity wear so women don't have to compromise their style.
Exactly. The brand's mission is empowerment. It's about fighting that frumpy narrative.
So Lucy Watson's video was, in a way, just an extension of that.
It was. She was trying to show that you can feel unstoppable, you can be yourself again. From a marketing perspective, it was supposed to be a win,
A total home run.
showing the cool mom bouncing back, but it just crashed headfirst into the raw, painful reality that most mothers actually experience.
It's the tension between the ideal that her brand is selling and the reality.
But to be fair, it wasn't actually all sunshine and lattes for her, was it?
No, not at all. When you dig into her blog posts and interviews, she admits to some pretty rough struggles that definitely did not make it into that TikTok.
And that nuance gets lost in the outrage cycle. She admitted that breastfeeding was unenjoyable at first.
Right.
She used words like injured and raw to describe the physical toll. She talked about the huge psychological load of being the sole source of food for another human.
She even had to hire a lactation consultant just to get through it.
Which, again, is a privilege to be able to hire one, but it shows the struggle was real.
Money doesn't numb the nerve endings.
Precisely. Pain is pain. But here's the pivot point for our deep dive. Lucy faced backlash for her financial privilege in that video, but she also faced judgment for something else entirely, something money couldn't protect her from. She faced judgment for simply feeding her baby in public.
This is the part that really surprised me. You'd think in the mid-2020s, seeing a woman breastfeed wouldn't be a headline.
You would think.
But Lucy reported getting what she called grossed out looks while feeding her son in public places.
And she admitted something shocking about herself, too.
What was that?
She said that before she was a mom, she was one of the judgmental ones. She admitted that all those societal ideals had rubbed off on her, and she didn't get why women wouldn't just, hide it.
So the internet hated the facial. But what happened when Lucy just tried to feed her baby in public? It turns out the judgment gets much darker than just mean comments on TikTok. We're going to look at why the law had to get involved.
It really comes down to a conflict of identity. And the research here is fascinating. It's this core conflict between the sexual body and the maternal body.
Ah, okay.
In Western culture, the female breast is so heavily coded as a sexual object. It's for the male gaze.
Right, it's for billboards, movies, selling cars, whatever.
Exactly. So when a woman uses her breast for its actual biological function, feeding a baby in a public space, it disrupts that code.
It creates a kind of cognitive dissonance for the person watching.
It really does. They don't know where to look. It transgresses this boundary of the good body, which is supposed to be privately maternal but, publicly decorative.
So society's goal is basically for the breastfeeding mother to be invisible.
Precisely. The invisible mother is the ideal. Hide in the car, hide in the restroom, hide under a blanket.
Wow.
The research actually shows that people who score high on self-objectification, people who view bodies primarily as objects, are statistically way more likely to find public breastfeeding indecent.
Because they can't switch off the sexual filter.
They can't. It's not about the baby. It's about the viewer's inability to desexualize the woman.
That is wild. But surely the law's on her side here. I mean, what are the actual hard facts about her rights?
The law is very, very clear, at least in the UK. And this is important for everyone to know. Under the Equality Act 2010, it is explicitly sex discrimination to treat a woman unfavorably because she is breastfeeding.
And unfavorably covers a lot of ground.
It does. It means a cafe owner cannot ask you to move. They can't ask you to cover up. They definitely can't ask you to leave.
So anywhere a service is provided to the public.
Anywhere. A library, a bus, a cinema. You have the right to feed your baby there.
Now, what about Scotland? I saw a note that they take it even further.
They do, and I love this detail. The Breastfeeding, Etc. Scotland Act 2005 makes it a criminal offense.
Not just a civil dispute.
No, a criminal offense punishable by a fine of up to £2,500 to stop someone from feeding a child under 2 in a public place.
Wow. So if you give someone a hard time in Glasgow about nursing, you could actually be fined.
Yeah.
That is serious protection.
It is. And yet the social pressure, those grossed out looks, it still persists despite the legal shield.
Right.
And we should briefly mention the intersectionality here. The sources touch on the Jezebel stereotype used against Black women. If a white, wealthy woman like Lucy Watson feels that gaze, you can just imagine how that judgment is compounded for women of color who have been historically hypersexualized.
It's just layers upon layers of policing. If you're shocked that you can be fined £2,500 for stopping a baby from eating, wait until you hear the history of how women were systematically stripped of their power. Hit that subscribe button on the show so you don't miss these deep dives.
You know, we promised at the start that we'd connect this whole reality TV drama to something much bigger.
To the idea that women lost everything.
Right. And this is where I want to bring in that fascinating source material about the lost goddesses and the history of Cambodia.
This feels like a huge jump from Chelsea to Cambodia, but once you read it, the parallel it's undeniable.
It really is. We see Lucy Watson being policed in a London cafe today. But if we look at the historical analysis of Southeast Asia, specifically Cambodia, we see a systemic stripping of female power that mirrors this on a grand scale. It's like a blueprint for how this control operates.
So tell us about the perfect woman.
Okay, so in Cambodian history, there is this concept of the Srey Krup Likana.
Which means
It translates to the woman of full qualities, or the perfect woman. And there are actual codes of conduct, the CVPAB Srey, that define this. A proper woman is described as neutral.
neutral.
She never screams. She blends in. She is, and this is a quote, like warm water.
Like warm water.
Not shocking like cold water, not burning like hot water, just warm, silent.
That sounds incredibly boring and also impossible. It sounds like being a ghost in your own life.
It's designed to be compliant. And the contrast is the Srey Atlikana, the woman without qualities, the bad woman.
Oh.
If a woman is loud, if she gossips, if she works in a bar, or, dare I say, if she posts a tone-deaf TikTok about how great her life is,
She is devalued.
she is seen as broken.
So historically, women in that region held a high status, right? The source was titled Lost Goddesses for a reason.
Yes. In the pre-modern era, women in Southeast Asia often held significant economic and social power, but through centuries of these codes of conduct and foreign influence and changing social structures, that agency was stripped away.
They were pushed into these submissive, warm water roles.
It connects so well to Lucy Watson's experience. She talked about an identity shift when becoming a mother, feeling like she was losing herself.
And society was basically telling her, be quiet, be invisible, be warm water.
Exactly. Don't talk about your triumph with the facial. Just suffer in silence like a good mother should.
Whether it's a 19th century Cambodian code or a 21st century comment section, the mechanism is the same.
Social shame used to force women into a smaller, quieter box. The tools change, but the goal remains the control of female behavior.
And the sources gave us some amazing global contrasts on this, too. It's not just a Western or an Asian issue.
Not at all. It varies so much depending on how the culture views the female body.
Like in parts of West Africa.
Right. Historically, the breast is viewed as primarily functional. It's for feeding. There isn't that same immediate sexual shame attached to public feeding because the cultural coding is different. The male gaze just doesn't dominate the interaction.
But then you have a place like Kenya, where it gets metaphysical.
Yes, the source mentions that in some Kenyan communities, the fear isn't about indecency. It's about the evil eye, the malevolent gaze.
So mothers might hide breastfeeding not out of shame.
But because they fear a curse or a jealous look will literally dry up their milk.
Which brings us right back to the common thread. Whether it's fear of a curse in Nairobi, fear of a fine in Scotland, or fear of a grossed-out look in Chelsea.
It's all about external forces trying to control or dictate what a woman does with her body.
It's the universal struggle for autonomy.
And the shocking truth isn't that women lost everything all at once. It's that there is this constant low-level siege on their right to define their own experience.
And coming up, we connect the dots between a viral meltdown over a pump charger and the biological imperative that made Lucy feel like a superhero during a medical crisis.
This part of the story really flipped my perspective on the whole incident.
So we talked about the facial, we talked about the backlash, but there was another moment in the sources regarding Lucy Watson that I found really, really moving. It's about RSV.
This is the biological imperative just kicking in.
Tell us about it.
So Willoughby, her son, was hospitalized with RSV respiratory syncytial virus at 6 months old.
Which is terrifying for an infant.
It's terrifying. It attacks the lungs. And as a parent, you feel completely helpless. There's no magic pill you can give them. It's a viral infection. You just have to wait it out.
That feeling of helplessness is the worst thing a parent can go through.
Yeah.
Just watching them struggle to breathe.
Basically. But Lucy realized she could do something.
What was it?
She could breastfeed. She was passing on specific antibodies directly to him that helped him fight the virus. And in that moment, the narrative flipped. She wasn't the privileged influencer getting a facial, and she wasn't the gross woman in the cafe. She was a defender. She went from helpless to powerful because of her own biology.
It's a reclamation. And I think that's what this deep dive really comes down to. We started with a controversy that seems so superficial, oat milk and facials.
Right.
But when you peel it all back, it's about who gets to tell the story of motherhood.
Society tries to tell women they are losing everything, their coolness, their freedom, their body. The Trenches comment section tried to humble Lucy because she wasn't performing the role of the suffering martyr correctly.
She was acting too privileged, too happy.
But whether it's through legal protection like the Equality Act or just the biological power of keeping a sick child safe, women are finding ways to say, no, I haven't lost everything.
I'm actually redefining what this looks like.
And that leads me to a question I've been pondering while looking at all this.
Okay.
We judge Lucy Watson for saying she was in the trenches while living a life of luxury. That's a valid critique of wealth inequality. But, and this is the uncomfortable part, are we also judging her because we are deeply uncomfortable seeing a mother who refuses to suffer?
Do we require mothers to be martyrs to believe they're good parents?
I think so.
That is the question. If she had posted a video of herself crying in a dark room with unwashed hair, the comments would have been full of "you got this, mama" support.
Oh, absolutely.
But because she posted a video of herself winning, we tore her down.
We prefer our mothers to be warm water, quiet, blending in, and self-sacrificing. Lucy Watson decided to be hot water, or maybe oat matcha, and that shock is what caused the explosion.
So next time you see a mom in a cafe, maybe don't give the grossed out look. And if you see an influencer posting about her great day, maybe ask yourself why that triggers a reaction.
Is it the privilege or is it the audacity of a mother putting herself first? And remember, under the Equality Act, she has every right to be there, so let her feed the baby.
Exactly. That brings us to the end of this deep dive. We've gone from Chelsea to Cambodia and back again. It's been a journey.
It certainly has.
If you enjoyed unpacking this with us, make sure you're following the show. We have more deep dives coming up that take these pop culture moments and find the hidden history underneath.
Indeed. There is always more to the story than the headline.
You've been listening to StarScope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.